Oh
it
my
shows that.
God.
Hello, everyone.
Hello,
Welcome
guys.
to Authors Unite, where writers and authors get together and talk writing and try to stay on topic. Not that we have a topic. I am Kindar,
That's
the
hard.
Tiger Writes. You can find me on tigerwrites.com. It'll be in the link below. Um, Today we have Salty Bird with us. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yay.
Hello, I'm Salty Bird. I'm here. I have nothing else to say.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, let me remove
They are a
this.
mystery.
And come on, it's your turn. I've introduced myself.
Okay.
Hello. Salty Bird, yeah.
Okay, I'm CK. You can find me on storytellingkarina.com or Patreon, which is also Storytelling Karina.
I'm Isadora or Isa or Izzy or Doris. Not the Explorer. And I'm isadorafelix.com. And guys, I have one thing to say. One reader out of nowhere commented on my pin saying, "You have the same name as my main character. I love you." And I was like, that was my biggest accomplishment as a writer.
Awesome!
There's an Isadora Felix out there in a book.
Well, congratulations. You will be famous.
Yeah. Oh, not me, but my Shada. How do you say in English when you have the same name as someone? Do you have a name for that?
It's just same name.
Namesake?
Yeah,
Or
namesake would be the closest I
here
can think of to.
in Portuguese we have a word called Shada. Meu Shada means that we have the same name.
Alrighty. Do we have a subject today?
Doubtful.
Oh my.
What will we talk about?
Yeah, what will we talk about? Um, all right. Well, how about this? How about we talk about where we get our ideas? Because that's often a question that comes up when uh, talking with other people, writer and non-writer alike. You know, they'll they always ask, so how do you come up with your ideas? So Isa wanted to start us since you are on a limited time frame.
Who?
You, Isadora.
Me?
Well, you said we could call you
Okay.
Isa.
Yeah, but I heard Rita.
Oh, sorry.
Rita. All right, let me see. All my ideas come from my dreams. Lately, yeah. Lately, I'm dreaming about my story, and then when I wake up, I want to write. Do I actually write? No, because I'm lazy. However, I feel like writing when I dream about my things. I often dream that I'm the my main character, and he's a boy. And the other night, I dreamt that he asked, "Where can I pay for my parking ticket?" And that was him. And then the guy said, uh, "In the princess room." And he said, "No, I'm a boy." And then my brain thought, "No, Isadora, you're a girl." So yeah, I always dream about my stories, which is weird because I can never write the way I dream, so I get frustrated. Because when you dream, everything is kind of magical. It's whimsical. And when you go down to write, you have to structure it, and I get so frustrated, and that's why I never write anything. It's true. That's it.
CK?
Yeah. I can't remember exactly who said it, but I kind of feel like it was Neil Gaiman or someone who said if I knew where my ideas came from, I would go there more often. I kind of like that answer. For me personally, I think it's like the things I want to see changed in the world. I sort of write that in a way. I don't really know where it comes from. It's just a bucket of noise in my head until I write it down.
You're like walking, la 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 la, and then a punch, an idea. You have to write it. No, leave me
Well,
alone. No.
when
And of course, they
inspiration
all fit together.
when inspiration strikes like that, it's probably for me one of the most amazing time, because the story comes fully formed, and then it gets surfacing because I'm not in a position to write it at the moment.
Yeah.
Salty, do you have something to comment on this?
Where I get my inspirations from is usually from nature, dreams, comics.
Some beautiful
Eh,
birds.
yeah, it's sometimes in my dream. The rare times when I'm drawing and I end up making a character on accident, and that comes too.
That's amazing.
Cool. Um, for me, it's a bit like CK said, except that instead of saying I don't know where they come from, I say they come from everywhere. I um, because I primarily write what I want to read, my inspiration comes a lot from other media. I'll see a movie and I'll go, you know what? I'd rather it would have gone this way, and I'll write that. Or uh, I'll read a book and I'll go, no, this is not how you tell this kind of story, and I'll write the story the way it should be told. Um, these days, a lot of my ideas come from other books. Um, in the lit RPG genre, it is a genre populated by a lot of either beginning writers, or I've just been lucky and I've picked up the books from everybody who seems to start to beginning to write, and I see a lot of the same mistakes, and that's sort of where it come from. That's how I started writing lit RPG, because I went, okay, I love the concept, but everybody does it wrong. So I'm going to do it my way. And yes, it's a little bit pretentious of me to say I'm going to do it right. Uh, but it is
Yeah.
where it starts. It's this belief that I can tell a good story in that genre, and that's why I do it. Um, so yeah, it comes from everywhere. I have one series that literally came from a line of spoken dialogue within a song.
Cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's yeah, everything. Like everything inspires me. Hmm. Okay, now what?
I feel like I've had like when I was a kid, I've had all my inspiration. Like everything I could want to write, I had it already. So that's why I always basically write the same things over and over and over. I can't get over it. I don't know. I never get new ideas. Same direction as you originally went.
I feel like I do have a tendency to write female characters with a sort of strength that I wish I had.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of just writing a character, I write them like I wish I could be.
Mm-hmm.
But I never set out intending to write the same kind of story. Like I always think this is completely different from anything I have ever done before. And then voila, it turns out they are possibly minor things but that seem major, or maybe major things that seem minor to me. I can never tell how anyone else will read it, but just things that are apparently the same.
Well, I mean, there's
Yep.
nothing wrong with that. Readers, like it's a known phenomenon that people, and anybody who consume media want the same thing done slightly differently. So, they want to know what to expect, but still have a few twists in it so they can be surprised here and there. And, that doesn't mean giant twists. It can simply mean a character being a little different. So, I mean, personally, if a writer writes similar things, I think it's to their advantage, because then their fans are always going to know what to expect.
True. I want to get a book. I'll be right back.
All
Count to
righty.
10 and I'll be back.
Have fun.
Stay
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Another place I get my inspiration from is mythology books, or like books that were made like at a very long time, like BC,
Yeah.
or like
History.
before 1800s.
I did that actually
Yeah.
because I'm from Denmark, so I grew up with Norse mythology. I had a teacher in, I think it was the second grade or something, who used to read this sort of mythology book to us. It was a piece of fiction, but it had pretty much every Norse mythology story within it. So I grew up with this. So when Marvel started with Loki and Thor in the MCU, I kind of got a bit pissed at them. So I did
Same,
what Tinder,
honestly.
like, I'm gonna fix this because clearly you don't know who Loki is. He would
The-
never try to rule the world. So I tried to fix it, and I used mythology. So I did a bit of both of you.
Yeah, the movie that really made me mad, or I almost walked out of, was Ragnarok, because I just did not like it.
Yeah. Fenrir didn't speak at all. That was an insult, I think. Like, Fenrir is smarter than Thor. He's almost as smart as Loki, maybe even a little bit smarter. And Hela was evil? No, that was wrong.
Guys, I can't find it. Where is it? Come on. I should leave this open, right? It would be like a better scenario.
Yeah, as a consumer of media, I'm very easy to please because I'm not judgmental.
Oh, I am so judgmental. It's horrible.
And
Um,
I think it's. Yeah. Wait, what?
Go ahead, Salty.
I think the worst part with what they did to Loki, it's like every time I want to look him up, like on the internet, it's always like the MCU one, so I can never actually get the one I want looking for.
Yeah, yeah.
Try spelling it Loke, because that's how we spell it in Danish. That works for
Okay.
me.
Loke.
Yeah.
Loki.
Yeah.
All right.
Loke.
Loki. Oh, it's cute.
Did you find
Sorry.
your book?
No, I think this is Alex's version. Anyway, I just wanted to illustrate because it's so funny. In the part where they give Harry the list of things he can bring to Hogwarts, when I was a kid, I like crossed an X in it and wrote my own list because I was like, how come they don't allow a dog? I have a dog. I want to bring him. Like, that's crazy. A cat? A frog? No, what about my dog? And I was so frustrated. I want to illustrate that. That's why I started writing. Literally. I
Because
wanted
you
to
couldn't
fix
bring
Harry
a dog to
Potter.
Hogwarts.
I couldn't bring a dog to Hogwarts. That was mind blowing for me. I was like, you can bring a rat, but you can't bring a dog. I'm not leaving my dog behind. Thanks, JK. You did one thing right. You made me so frustrated with this that you made me a writer.
I mean, the entire genre of fan fiction originates a little bit from that. People who read something and go, I didn't like what you did to this character. I'm going to fix it. And they go on. I mean,
That's the supernatural fandom, I think.
well, I mean, it's almost every fandom does it. Like every fandom has its group of artists, because it's done also in visual media, who will do fan fiction of some sort. You know,
Definitely. I didn't mean to
pairing
say all
that
fandoms.
pairings that don't happen in the series, pairings that couldn't happen in the series, crossover from one series to the next.
But what
It's
I meant was Supernatural has that they kill off that character, fix it with fan fiction.
Yep.
Great. I love that. I think that I personally, I never, not even when I was a kid, I never liked reading or writing fanfic because I wanted to write my own characters in that story, but in a different way. And that's why I'm a writer now. I never got like Harry went there and kissed Ronnie. I was like, I'm going to make my own Harry. Get out, Harry. And I'm going to
Yeah.
make him his own
I don't
boyfriend. Get out, Ronnie. You know.
I don't think I actually have the talent for writing fan fiction because I'm the sort of writer who gets to know my characters through writing them. So I would
Mhm.
always end up changing the characters if I tried to write fan fiction.
True.
Never wrote fan fiction before.
yeah.
Never.
Nope.
I fan fiction gets a bad rap, and I never understand it, because fan fiction, well written fan fiction, is probably one of the hardest thing to do, because you need to know the world very well.
Yeah, definitely.
You can take liberties, but there reach a point where the liberties are so far off that you have to ask, is this even still fan fiction? um, I came across an X-Men, I'm putting it in quote, fan fiction that I read on Archive of Our Own, I think, or Fiction Press. And basically the authors had changed how mutant powers worked, had changed what mutants were, had changed how each of the individual characters' power worked. He'd only kept the names, and he called it fan fiction.
No, it's
That
not
sounds like
anymore.
what Marvel did with Thor and Loki. Like they have the name. That's
Yeah.
it.
And
Yeah,
to be
Marvel.
fair, like their animated movies before like MCU and bought by Disney, they did do them correctly. Like in
They did?
Yeah, in Hulk versus, you see him like in Asgard and stuff. He's not like goofy or anything, so it might be a Disney thing that messed
I'll
them
have
up.
to check that out.
Oh my
Well,
god.
Loki's like still kind of evil, but he wasn't like, I guess, stupid.
Yeah, he was kind of stupid in the MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah. Disney always does that, right? We always discuss that.
Especially with Artemis Fowl, I heard like the fans really did not like what Disney did to it because they changed like the main character completely by making him a good guy, even though the kid was like a villain in the book.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
didn't
I
catch
read
which
that too.
book.
Artemis Fowl.
Hmm.
Yeah, Disney has a very difficult time accepting that a bad guy can be the main character. There.
Yeah.
Probably why they changed Elsa too in the beginning. So she was supposed to be bad guy in Frozen.
I think Disney should try to invent their own stories instead of basing off stories that already exist and changing everything. Disney.
Well, as I said, I do that, so I don't really have a
I
problem
love
with
you,
Disney doing
but
that.
you're a episode. You get, for example, Harry Potter. You change everything. You just call it Harry Potter. You know.
Well, no, that's the thing, is that at that point you have to change what it is. Um,
Yeah, but Disney doesn't.
yeah, well, no, yeah, that I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. Like, Fowl could have been a great movie if it had not been called Fowl, because
Exactly.
by calling it Artemis Fowl, you're telling this is the kind of story I'm going to be giving you, and instead you wash the villainy out of the character, and so then it becomes okay. Why is this Artemis Fowl? A lot of movies have that problem. For me, the most recent one is the Han Solo movie. I loved it. It was a great movie, but it wasn't Han Solo. It was.
I'll take her word for that because I didn't watch.
I liked it. If it had not been force fed within the Star Wars um, canon, if they hadn't been forced to try to make that 1.2 parsec joke work, if they had just given us a story about this guy who's a smuggler who gets, I think it would have been a fun movie. But because they felt that, because they called it Han Solo, they had to address, how does he meet Chewbacca? What is that 1.2 parsec thing that, that, and in trying to too hard to make these pieces fit, you end up with a movie that's it's very weak. It's
Controversial opinion here. No, say.
If you label something as Star Wars, it's more likely to sell than just some random new movie. It's
yeah,
about the money, and
Yeah.
yes,
that
yeah. I can.
ruins the art aspect of it.
Oh yeah, you are right about that. But if you're going to label something Star Wars, make something worthy of the name.
But that doesn't matter on the bottom line because Star Wars sells no matter how bad it is.
Not really now.
Oh,
People
it's
not. It's like failing at the moment.
Yeah, but that took a long time. That
Yeah.
took a lot of bad movies to get
But
to that point.
but that's the issue, is that if you dilute the brand, you know, the next the next masterpiece in the Star Wars franchise might fail just
Yeah.
because we're now going, well, you know what, Star Wars is not what it used to be. Why should I bother? That's why, if you're going to brand your story, your movie, your album in a series, you have to respect it. You have to make sure that it lives up to that name. Otherwise, you're diluting the brand. You're reducing all of it, and it's a danger down the road.
I think the worst part
But
is when they first got they announced, hey, all those books that were made with Star Wars with Lucas, they're not canon anymore. Yeah.
Yeah,
Disney has the liberty to do these things because they don't actually have to worry like we do. We don't have a giant company that has
Commercials.
thousands of different income streams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
They
we
can
do
afford
that,
to tank their best income. They could shoot the golden goose for one egg and still have 1,000 other golden gooses.
guys,
yeah.
I'll have to go now. Okay. Alex is back, and I promised him when he's back from the grocery store, I have to go.
Alrighty.
So see you.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye,
Have
Isadora.
fun.
But yes, yeah, because they are so wide, they are so big. Yes, they can afford to not care as much, but it will reach a point where if they don't care enough, it's going to affect Disney as a brand. Right now, it's only affecting Star Wars. But if the MCU starts getting crappy movies like Star Wars had, if other things that come out under the Disney umbrella start not being that good, well, the entire name will be reduced in value, and it will take a while, or it may not even be possible for them to rebuild it. It's a danger in doing too much.
I feel like with the MCU on Disney Plus, their new shows is already starting to drop downhill. They like made a Modoc show, but it's like a sitcom now, where he's like usually the big bad guy, but now he's like in a suburban home with a family and stuff.
Which one are you talking about?
Like it's called like Modoc. He's like the guy who sits in the chair.
Okay, yeah, no, I don't know which one.
That floats a lot.
A chair that
Uh,
floats.
like his body's like basically the chair too.
Oh, okay, I know who you mean. Yeah, okay. I haven't heard of that one. Okay. Well, if again, if the quality isn't there, the storytelling isn't there, that's another franchise that will suffer. And Disney may end up paying for doing that. Um,
Yeah,
right.
I think a part of the problem for us viewers is that Disney as a whole is like a couple of guys at the top, or one guy I don't even know anymore, who makes all the big bucks, and then a company below. So if the company goes under, then the guys at the top have still made more money than they could ever spend. So it might just be enough for them. And Disney can think if that's what it takes because they had made the quick bucks.
That's possible. It's
They already like had a bunch of layoffs, but they gave like their CEOs like their money back. So that's
Mm.
kind of already happening.
Yeah. Well, it's a corporation. It makes decisions that may not always be to the benefit of the audience. Um, you know, as the audience, all I think we can do is support them or not by giving them our money or not. We can't do.
Yeah.
It's not like we can go to whoever's in charge's office, knock at the door, and say, "Knock it off, do something better." You know, and so long as Disney will get our money, they'll be able to do whatever they want with it. And
Yeah.
as authors, we can look at that and go, do we want to follow that model, or do we want to do something better? you know it's At that point it becomes our choice. Yes, we don't have the $1 billion of money that they do so that we can produce 20,000 books a week. But the counterpoint to that is that what we do produce has better quality. Like, honestly, I think that my books are better than what the Marvel movies are, simply because I didn't have to produce them within a fixed amount of time. I wrote them when they were as good as I wanted them to be, then they got published. There's no rush to them, and um, that's one of the advantage we have as indie authors, that we don't have, the only people we have to please is our audience, not the board of directors. you know and that sometimes it's frustrating not to have all that money, but sometimes it's also liberating.
So there's a privilege and a curse of sorts in being an indie writer. We have the freedom to do whatever we want, but we also alone in it. We don't have anyone to rely on. If we fail, it's us personally who fail.
Yeah, yeah,
I think
that
the
is
other
true.
good part is you get to keep your stuff and don't have to like give it to a corporation when you like leave.
Yeah.
That's true too.
Alrighty. There's not
At
going
least
to
now I
be.
know
Oh,
why J.K. didn't let Disney do the Harry Potter movies.
well,
But at
JK.
least I now know why J.K. didn't let.
Sorry, go ahead, Salty.
I, I said at least now I know why J.K. didn't let Disney do the Harry Potter movies when she like saw what they did wrote.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's she had the fortune to be able to say no when Disney went, we'd like to do the movie, to adapt the books. And unlike one of us, who I'm fairly confident, if Disney were to come to one of us and go, you know what, we would love to adapt your book into a movie, I think we'd
I would
say
honestly say
yes.
no in a heartbeat.
I, I might look at how much they're willing to pay me, honestly. Money's money. I I don't, I may not like what they do, but the money they pay me could allow me to write a hell of a lot more books. Um, it's, I, okay. I don't think anyone would come to see, to see me to make to adapt my books. I don't write, um, commercial enough, I don't believe, to, for people to do that, but you never know, it might happen. Um, but yeah, it's it's the advantage of having the money when you can say no to someone.
I feel like I have poured my heart and soul and blood, sweat, and tears into these books. So to allow someone like Disney to come in and make a movie out of it, when I know what they have done to my cultural history in the past, like with H.G. Anderson, what they have done to his works, and with Loki and all that, I feel like it would be selling my soul to sell my books to them. So I don't think I would consider it, not for a moment. I mean, they could write a script that was brilliant and offer me a ton of money, and purely because they are labeled Disney, I would say no.
How did you feel
I would like
about
to think that.
How did you feel about the Little Mermaid?
The original Little Mermaid story is a lot different from what Disney did.
Yeah,
For
that's
one,
why I was wondering, like how you felt about the Disney one.
sorry, what?
I was just wondering how you felt about the Disney one.
Oh yeah, that whole she gets the man and lives happily ever after, opposed to the original where she learns to love herself. I hate that.
I heard like they had to apologize to someone in Denmark because of that movie. I forgot what person it was.
That would be really awesome, actually.
It was like I just know it was like an important person.
I haven't heard of it. I'm gonna have to look that up and see if that's true.
Alrighty. We are not going to get a 10-minute countdown because I got a message saying that they removed the 40-minute limit on this recording. So do we want to keep going, or have we exhausted the subjects?
We can keep going unless you don't want to.
Well, I mean, it's a question of having something to talk about. Like at this point, I've been letting the two of you go because I don't really have anything else to add.
I think we should start actually coming up with subjects for these meetings now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can probably sit down in the chat in this in the
Random things we have.
but but yeah, I think I mean, Salty, unless you have something you want to add, a subject you wish to bring up.
Um, I got nothing.
All right, well then I think we'll close it. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Um, you can find us on the link.
Shall we review all over the place?
Well, that's at this point, that's sort of the norm, I think. You know, um, but yeah, you can find us in the links below, and we will see you on the next one.